Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Faith Positive Nation, you know how much I love the outdoors, because if you've read Faith Positive in a Negative World, you know I'm constantly using images from the outdoors. The whole mow and sow strategy for getting your day started the Faith Positive way is all about the outdoors and the horse pastures, the way we care for them. Well, I'm an amateur at those kinds of things. Today, we're bringing in a professional. He grows people in addition to plants, and he loves growing ideas. And he gets paid to do this. So that's what I mean. He's a professional, right? He is the Director of Landscape Services at the University of Mississippi. And most of all, he does this from a place of faith deep within himself. And so his faith informs all of this growth. So I'm really excited today to introduce to you, Faith Positive Nation, my new friend, Jeff McManus. Jeff, welcome to Faith Positive Radio, buddy.
Well, Dr. Joey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be with you.
Man, it's a pleasure and a delight. And just for those people who are listening to this and are from Mississippi, we're not trying to create any sort of battlefield thing here between the University of Mississippi and Mississippi State or anything like that. And just for complete transparency, I had a nephew who went to Mississippi State.
And I have a son there.
So you have a mixed family? Is that what you're saying?
I have some at Auburn. Yeah, I went to Auburn. I'm at Ole Miss. I love the SEC, so I'm fine.
Okay. Well, we'll pretend you didn't say that because I'm an ACC guy. So
love the ACC too.
Yeah, you want to talk about Clemson State, NC State, Virginia Tech, all those places, right? Yeah,
it's great. Time that the ACC caught up with the SEC. I mean, it's just saying.
You mean in football, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now, what other sport is there? Is there another sport?
In the SEC, no. But in the ACC, we won the football championship. We won the basketball championship. Let's see. We may wind up winning the baseball championship. Who knows? But,
I love it.
I love it. That's great. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, before we take this debate any further, by the way, my production guy is a Virginia Tech Hokie, so he may have just edited out everything you said about the SEC. Just saying.
That's
so
okay.
When you're watching this, if it doesn't show up, you'll know why.
I know why.
So you love growing things, plants, people, and ideas. I love that you love that because I am so nature oriented. I mean, God just really speaks to me through the outdoors, not just through the obvious things like sunsets, but just the incredible way he knit the whole outdoors together and everything serves purpose. So how did you get turned on to, I mean, was this as a kid you got turned on to God's world?
Yeah, well, my dad gave me plenty of opportunities on Saturdays to enjoy nature, as you said. I can't say that I enjoyed it a whole lot growing up. I actually, I did enjoy the plants, but he did have us working a lot growing up, and it was good for us. It built a lot of things. It grew a lot of things in our life called character. We understood what it meant to do a good job. And I remember one time we planted all these plants, and I was fascinated when we watered the plants, how the soil around the plants settled in. It was like tunnels caving in. And as a small child, that just captivated me. So then 2 or 3 days later, I got the water hose out and just was watering all the plants in the yard. And my mom said, Jeff, good job, but you realize it just poured down raining about an hour ago. So I was just excited just to do it. Yeah.
Lesson one, timing is everything.
That's true. Yeah.
So what did your dad do? You said he had you guys working outside.
My dad grew up on a farm in rural Alabama, and he was a school teacher and did administrative, but he always loved being on a tractor. He grew up picking cotton. He was just a hard working, that's just the way it was back in those days. He grew up, he was born in 34, so during those times. So he made sure my brother and sister and I all had opportunities to learn how to do those type of jobs. And now I'm very grateful for that because, if you work a fella long enough and hard enough, Dr. Joey, you don't have to worry about how far he goes at night and how long he stays out. And that was my dad's philosophy. So he made sure we worked us really good.
Yeah, if he was from Alabama, he probably said something like, we're going to wear this boy out. He can't get in any trouble, right?
That's right. That's right.
The boy didn't have enough energy to get in the car and go off and get in trouble. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, so you learned management, how to manage yourself, so you had some energy left over to go out at the end of the night when you were a teenager.
You would.
Right? Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Hold a little back.
Well, I love what you're talking about there, watering and just watching the cause and effect. Jim Rohn was my favorite business philosopher of all time, and he always talked about things in season, that you can't harvest before you plant, and you can't cultivate before you plant. And so it just seems to me that the good Lord built into nature all these lessons for us that are applicable to us. I take it if you grow plants and you grow people and you grow ideas, that you understand that same thing.
Well, it's true. You've got to be intentional on what you want to grow. And as a leader, if you're leading people, you got to think about what it is you want to grow. And for so many years, I just let nature grow whatever nature wanted to grow in my people. Well, just like in your house, if you let nature grow what it wants to grow, you're going to get a lot of weeds, a lot of unwelcome things that you don't want. And I was getting that in the form of gossip. I was getting that in the form of unproductivity. So I had to start being much more intentional in planning the things that I needed. Like I needed leaders. I needed men and women of character who looked to mentor other people, to grow other leaders. And I needed people who had that passion rather than just being a paycheck employee. I needed a passionate employee. And
somebody who's engaged.
That employee with a purpose, not just a pension, but a purpose of why they were there. And to really cultivate that so that the roots go down deep, and so their desire to be there, and they want to be one of the best at what they do. And so I had to study. I mean, I studied, and it was a process that God took me through. I realized I was the biggest problem of inhibiting that growth, and so I had to soften up and cultivate my heart. I've always been a listener, always been a grower. My dad always had cassette tapes going back in the days when cassette tapes instead of what we're doing now.
What did your dad have you listening to?
Oh, we were listening to sermons like Dr. Paul Walker, or we were listening to Dr. Charles Stanley, or some of those pastors, and maybe praise music, or Zig Ziglar, and those type of guys. So I mean, I cut my teeth on Zig. I wore, and so
awesome.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that process. Well, I adapted that and grafted that into my life, and wore out many tape recorders, and now even today I consume books, especially audio books, all the time, just when I'm traveling and things. So I realized that our team was not learning and growing outside of really anything what they're doing at work. And so we started focusing, being intentional in planting seeds in their lives. And so we would start meeting monthly in a class we call Leader to Leader, and with small groups. I mean, think of small group Bible studies, but at work and without a Bible. Okay.
Wow. So is this at the University of Mississippi you're doing this? And is this from among the teams? I mean, you're the director of landscape services. I mean, you're taking your employees and doing this, right?
Absolutely. And I'm doing it. I mean, I'm pulling our teams in. And so I have supervisors and managers, and there's sort of that whole hierarchy, but I make sure I'm doing this because I want to have that. I want to have that contact. I want to.
Right. It's about relationships.
Connection. That's right. But it started solidifying healthy growing, because fertilizer was being added, good food was being added, that organic matter was just coming natural, because guys were saying things they had never said out loud. I mean, they had never talked about what it meant to be dependable out loud. Now, they may have thought about it, but they never had a venue to talk about it. So when this started happening, they started getting stronger. I mean, it's like growing really good grass.
Yeah.
When you grow really good grass, you can choke out the weeds.
That's right. It's got a great root system, and you let it grow up at least 3 inches, right?
That's right. Exactly. So we're choking out a lot of the challenges we were having.
Wow.
And so that really started our our growth process of changing our organization to becoming a real leadership-driven organization.
You're reminding me of Proverbs in so many ways, because it's just rife with natural kinds of images and pithy statements and things like that. That just iron sharpens iron just came to my mind.
That's right.
When you're talking about that, a friend sharpens a friend, as the Message translation says it. So what you really did was got all these guys who may have just been dependable because of a paycheck. You got them together and started talking about what it means to be who you are with a purpose. That probably expanded the vision of how they saw their work too, didn't it?
You're so right. I mean, when I say I had to start by painting a better picture, telling a better story, because when we hire college students to come work with us for the summer or whatever, just a part-time basis, how do we look at that student? Do we just see them as a part-time helper, a cog on the wheel, a grunt worker, or do we see that as the next generation of future leaders? Do we see that as the next Bill Gates, Billy Graham? Do we see that person? How do we value them? So I had to start telling a different story. I had to start sharing with them, one day that student may come back and look at you, Mr. Landscaper, Ms. Landscaper, and say, it was you who changed my life. It's you that kept me in school. Wow. And then light bulbs started coming on. I have a bigger purpose. And I knew I hit a home run when one of our employees in our leader-to-leader meeting sat back. This old guy, just a great weed eater operator, big old guy, lovable guy, just a big old guy, just frontline go-getting guy. And he sits back and he crosses his arm and he goes, fellas, we're here for more than just to take up space. He goes, we may have more influence on these college students that are working with us than those college professors do in the classrooms.
Oh, boom.
Boom.
Right?
I mean, this is a frontline guy, and he's saying things like that. He was getting this purpose.
Oh,
what's funny is I've told that story to dozens of our, I'm great friends with a lot of our professors, and every single one of them says, he's right.
Wow.
He's right. They will have more influence because they'll get to talk to them in ways that they could never talk to them. And so
absolutely.
That is a game changer, but it wasn't just me, but it was influencing them, letting John Maxwell talk to them, let Zig Ziglar talk to them. We even watch TEDx talks on some of these things and learn from them.
And this is the landscape services
Landscaping guys,
at the University of Mississippi. Because all the time, we work with so many business people around the country, well, literally around the world. Oh, we don't have time to do this, or our people won't go for it. So Jeff McManus, you're now my poster child. I'm going to say, if Jeff McManus, the director of landscape services at the University of Mississippi, can get a weed eater operator to realize the greater purpose, you can work with your people to do it too.
Well, you know what happens if you don't sharpen the blades on your mower? If you don't ever slow down to sharpen them,
you work yourself to death.
You work yourself to death.
Yeah.
And if you don't take time to service your mower, if you don't do what we call PM, preventative maintenance, you're going to have some more issues. You're going to work on it eventually.
Oh, really? It's going to break down.
It's going to break down. Same thing with people, though.
That's right.
If you're not intentional in servicing the people, taking care of them, meeting the needs, giving them some ways to bond and become a real team, it's going to come out in bad ways because you're going to have to deal with drama. You're going to have to deal with all these situations, and it's going to take your time either way. I have had so much more time now, freedom, because our folks have embraced the leadership culture and have growing each other. We even created this crazy little thing called Landscape University, and it gives us a systematic approach how to walk people through this now.
What is it, like a training program for new employees or something like that?
It's customized, but it has not only the skills that we do with our hands, but we deal with the brain, but we go for the core, for the heart. And so we're teaching those values in there, and it's not subject to me being there every single day. It's on a system now. So, and now we're teaching it. Yes. So I'm trying to lift our industry up. And so now we're inviting other schools in, and we've had schools from Michigan. We've had Nevada, Texas, of course, all around the SEC coming, and we're teaching them
Just had to
how
get
to do
another
that.
SEC mention in there, didn't it?
Well,
I'm sure some
we've had
ACC
some
schools.
ACC. We
That's
did.
right.
Tech was there. Georgia
There
Tech.
you go, Tech. That's right.
North Carolina State was there.
Oh,
So,
go Wolf Pack. That's
there you
right.
go. Yeah.
That's
So,
super. Well, what you've done is you found a system tied to a noble cause. That's what I love to talk about, are noble causes. So now I see my role in the greater whole. So I'm not just running a weed eater. I'm teaching life lessons to a college student. But also I think, Jeff, what you put your finger on here is also something whenever I was a leader in charge of facilities and things like that, in other words, we had a large office complex or something like that. I'd always want to talk to the maintenance staff. And I always want them to understand how important their job was, because when somebody entered that building, the cleanliness, they judged the cleanliness of that building and immediately went to how effective I was as the leader of that building. So that maintenance staff had one of the most important jobs in the entire company. That's right. So I'm thinking when somebody drives on the campus of University of Mississippi or any college or university campus, they look at the landscaping and that's front presenting. And so whatever they see there, they judge the university by that. Am I close?
There's a study out there. You're right. You're spot on. 62% of prospective college students who have not decided will decide in the first few minutes of a college visit if they're coming to your university based on what you just said, the appearance. And that's
62%?
Yeah, buildings,
Holy
landscaping.
cow.
And so here's what we do. We connect the dots.
Uh-huh.
All right. So who's that prospective student? Well, that's the next person who could be curing HIV.
Oh man, yeah.
Okay,
that's exactly right.
So if
or
we're helping recruit them
or something.
Exactly. We have a small part in helping that recruiting. So we're a small part, and some people even laugh at me when I say that, but we're a small part of helping cure HIV. We had Dr. Hannah Gay that came to our school, and she came within a whisper a few years ago down at our medical center of curing HIV.
Oh,
so we say, we were a part of that. We helped recruit her. We're helping them, giving them this environment to learn and grow in, giving people a purpose, a greater purpose than a paycheck and a pension for why they're there, what they do. And that's what my book's about. Growing weeders into leaders, is developing that whole passion.
Book?
Yeah, that book. Yeah,
this very book that I haven't held in my little hand.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a great book. Now, if you're Faith Positive Nation, you can pre-order this if you go to our website, or actually Jeff's website. Well, if you go to our website, if you're watching this on the page, Jeff's page on our website, then you'll see this cover there. Just click on that. It'll take you to Amazon or some other order that you prefer to make, and you can do it there. And Jeff's got a special page on his website for us as well. So that's what he's talking about. So you can get a lot more. I know you're going to want more. You already want more because you're hearing from Jeff, but this is how you get more. So what you're really describing is connecting my daily activities to a greater cause, to a noble cause, which sounds a lot like a spiritual pursuit. So tell me how your faith as a Christian believer impacted the development of weeders into leaders.
Well, as Christians, we're supposed to value people. We value them. We respect them, and no greater way to do that than to get them toward Christ. And it's really hard in our environment today to do that. So I look for ways to lead them to the water. I get them thirsty, and I want them to be able to drink. I can't make them drink it. A lot of us can't, but we can try to get them thirsty.
Right.
And that is a lot through our leadership development and aspiring people for that higher purpose. People want their lives to matter.
Yeah.
And so we do that. We call it walking in wisdom, and in that leader to leader I was describing to you, but we also bring in people to talk to our people, to tell them their value, to give them insights, to realize that this is not just a job. I mean, we're fortunate enough to do this for this university for this period of time. You're changing lives. And so my faith has been instrumental in that, and to see the value in each person, just as Christ saw the value of everybody, not just because they had money,
Yeah, really. But in
because
a
they
weed
ran a weed
eater
eater,
that's right. That's what I'm thinking,
he'd be
man.
hanging out with us weed eater
Yeah,
operators
that's
and
what
us
I'm talking
guys,
about. He's out there sweating with
mower
us, right?
operators. Yeah,
Well, you got to remember, he grew up with sawdust in his hair,
he did.
you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
he understood the value of working and crafting things. But Jeff, man, you're reminding me of something that we talk all the time about, and that is that our work is worship.
mm,
Because when Adam is put to work by God, and oh, by the way, this was before the fall, before
that's
the
right.
original sin, right?
That's right.
Where is he working, Jeff?
He's in the garden.
That's it, man. That's what I'm
That's
talking
it.
about. He is
Yeah,
organizing, and that word work there means, you know, he's organizing and helping God. He's a co-laborer with God, which is
yeah,
awesome. Of course, all that got messed up in the third chapter.
yeah.
But anyway, that word that the Hebrew scriptures use there for work is later used in the Torah for a word called worship.
Mm,
And so our work is worship. And that's exactly what you're describing, that purpose, personal purpose for the noble cause. Man, I tell you, I'm excited to think about what you do to help a weed eater operator understand that he could be helping cure HIV.
that's right.
That's beautiful,
Yeah,
man. You talk about
yeah.
celebrating all of God's children.
Yeah.
That is just an incredible way to spend that. Great.
Well, that's the part of what we're supposed to do is make it apply to our lives.
Well, that's
The
what Jesus
scriptures.
did, right?
Right.
He walked around, pulled some seeds off a mustard bush and said, this is all the faith you need right here, right?
Right. Right.
So I mean, it sounds great the way we're describing it. I love it, but there got to be some challenges in it because weeds grow up into all of our lives. How do you manage those challenges?
Well, the challenge was getting people to buy in, getting people to be excited. When I first came there was a lot of hope, but the campus was ugly. It was,
So it's kind of simple to make it look better. Right? You just do
well,
some
I mean,
basic
it
stuff.
had good bones. It had really good bones. But there was the chancellor who brought me in. He knew it. He knew it had good bones and
Yeah.
potential,
Yeah.
and you could see it. But it was to get that team excited about it. I mean, that was a real challenge to get them to where they were just not saying that's not my job, and to get them to make eye contact with you, to engage. Like if you ask them a question, their head would go down, and they were just like, I don't know that. And you could just tell they didn't want to deal because they were afraid.
Yeah, I'm just a weed eater operator.
Yeah, I just want to, in 25 years I can retire, right? And they're just trying to survive.
Long time, man.
So the whole part was to build trust. That was the challenge, was to build trust. And as Christians, that's what it's about. You don't go in, or at least I don't feel like you should go in guns blazing with your faith on your shoulder and banging people, hitting people in the head with it. So I did. I just love people where they were. Eat lunch with them, interact with them, be approachable, get your hands dirty. Don't be afraid.
You mean you didn't sit in the office and expect people to come to you? So like Jesus is your hero, right? Because he went out there. He didn't sit in the synagogue. He went out and got his hands dirty with people. I'm loving it.
Chancellor Kayat, the first week I was there, invited me to go on a walkthrough, and within 30 seconds, and then he was picking up trash. And so it just told me that he got leadership. And so I always have remembered that, to be willing to pick up trash. Some of our professors on campus are picking up trash because of the example our chancellor set. He was not afraid to get his hands dirty. He would even pull up weeds. And so one day he's pulling up weeds, and I said, Chancellor, what are you doing? He goes, I'm weeding by example.
Oh, I love this guy. That's great.
Yeah, he's great. He's wrote the foreword of my book, Dr. Robert Kayat, just an incredible leader. Yes.
Okay. You mean from weeders to leaders? That book.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I tell you what, any college president, and we've interviewed college presidents on this show before, but any college president that'll weed, man, or pick up trash.
You got to love them.
I got to love them. Picking up trash is one thing, but I got to tell you, you reach down and pull a dandelion up and it's deep rooted. You're working then, buddy. You know what I'm saying? And he's decked out in his 3-piece, and it's a little bit warm in Mississippi, 10 and a half months out of the year?
Yes. Yeah, but that's the thing. Go back to building trust.
Yes.
You've got to lead by example. You've
or
got
weed
to get
by
your
example.
Weed by example. You've got to get your hands dirty, because if you're that guy who's sitting in the office and who is just dictating to people and just saying, thinking of people as cogs on the wheel, you don't build that trust very easily.
No,
because they don't.
What what you guys ought to do. You guys go out there and do that. You're reminding me of Jesus, at that Last Supper when he puts the towel around his waist and grabs the water basin and starts washing feet. I mean, here's the Savior of the world, the guy who helped create that garden, right?
That's
and
right.
He's washing nasty, smelly, calloused feet. If he can do that, I guess a college chancellor can reach down and pull a dandelion out of a flower bed, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's humbling. It's that's what leadership's about. That's the challenge is don't ever think you've arrived. There's always more to learn, right?
Oh, there really is. So did your dad introduce you to servant leadership as a child, or was there some other significant person in your life that showed you how to lead by example?
Well, my dad was modeled it more than anyone. And then I became more familiar with that term as I grew older and started studying it more. Chick-fil-A was a huge influence on me, and Dan Cathy, and how second mile service and the things that they do. And
Dan's dad too, Truett, was just a living example of that. I mean, all the kids he's helped through the years.
That's right. How they value people. We've always studied organizations, or when we were starting to deal with these challenges, we started looking at groups, and we get their books, anything they've written, and we read it. Our leaders read it, even our staff. We even buy books for our frontline staff. We read it. And so we did several Chick-fil-A books. We did Disney books. We've done just different things to learn about. And now that's part of our culture is continually to be a servant leader, to go that second mile, to do whatever it takes. And in the book, we have our landscape creed, all about what we do. And we say that every Monday morning. We lead by example. We adapt and overcome. We never stop training and growing. And those core values are who we are, have changed us more than anything. And you know who came up with those? It wasn't me.
It was the guys, wasn't it?
It was the guys.
Yeah.
My job was to facilitate the talk.
Right. That's what I was going to say. But as a great leader, you're facilitating and you're helping them discover their core values, and then those core values they hold in common, and then you just put it together. That way they own it. And any great coach, leader understands the value of doing that. Which is amazing. Okay, so as I mentioned, University of Michigan, which, by the way, my wife's great-great-grandfather established a School of Engineering at the University of Michigan. So I need to say, go blue, right?
There you go, go blue. So, you got to shout out to Michigan State now. I got a lot of Michigan State guys that work.
Well, of course, because it's land grant, like University of Mississippi and NC State and all right.
Kill me if they see this and I don't say anything for them.
Okay, go Spartans. Is that what I'm supposed to say now?
Sparky, yeah.
Go lose another basketball game. Oh, no, sorry. My bad. Sorry. Okay, so let's pick on the University of Michigan. Let's say University of Michigan or some major university comes to you, and they've heard about your program, but then they experience it some. But then there's that leader who says, "Man, I just don't think this will work in our place."
He may be right.
How do you respond to it?
I say you may be right. Yeah, exactly. I said, come and taste it, see if you like it, and if it's not for you, don't do it. Don't waste your time. But here's what I have more of now. I have more time, more freedom.
That's got to get somebody's attention because everybody wants more time, right?
I think so. I do.
And everybody I talk to, that's like job one. How many times have I said, and how many times have I heard people say, I can always find ways to make money, but I haven't made any time yet.
That's right.
So that's got to be an attraction to a leader, is make time. So you're pushing the benefits. Time's first one. What's the second?
That's right. Well, you got to, in this day and age, you got to do more with less.
Yes.
And we are. When I first started working on campus, we had 29 people working in the field. Today, we have 25 people working in the field.
Wow.
Now, we've done some smart logistic things, but we're probably not going to get a lot more people. We've got to work smarter, not harder. And landscape, when you taste our system and you look at our system, allows you to empower people to think and to move quickly, and it builds trust. Stephen Covey always talks about the speed of trust.
Yeah.
The speed of trust. And the cost of not trusting is high.
Oh,
and it slows
deadly.
You down. Yes.
It's deadly. It kills organizations.
And so I've had some people tell me, man, that it won't work for us. And that's great.
But you talk about the benefit of time. First of all, you get time. What's the second thing that you tell them they get?
Well, time, but you can do more with less.
And do more with less, so you're more productive.
Right. That's right. You're going to work smarter, not harder.
Okay. Smarter, not harder.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And for the business owner, you're going to make more money. You're going to make a
Yeah.
lot more money.
Goes right to the ROI. But what you also get is an intangible benefit that's a different bottom line. I mean, it's a noble cause of satisfaction. I mean, you talk to Dan Cathy, at least when I talk to him, you talk to Dan Cathy, you talk to somebody like that, and what do they begin talking about, man? We helped X number of children. We gave away so many thousands or millions of dollars in scholarships last year. I mean, it's just amazing how we call it the receive core practice, the fifth core practice of faith positive work style. They discover that you reap what you sow. And so the way to keep that moving is, as our friend Ivan Meisner talks about, givers gain, right? Mm-hmm. You get that intangible meaning, purpose, satisfaction, the kinds of things that you were talking about earlier. You got to have the money to create the organization and keep it sustainable. However, it's those other things that help you sleep better at night, right?
Well, absolutely. It gives you purpose, right?
Yeah.
Just like what you're saying.
That gets you out of bed in the morning.
Significance, right? A lot of us have gone through the success but you want to make sure at the end of the day, when we're laying on our deathbed, we're not going to say we wished we had more money. We're going to say we wished it had more impact on lives and done more for the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so how can we affect the kingdom now? And so that's the huge benefit of it.
Leave that legacy so that when people think about me, they think about Christ. I mean, that's
chapter 9 in the book, Leave the Legacy Leadership. Exactly. So that's
okay. So the book, Growing Leaders into Leaders.
That's right.
On Jeff's page on our website at getpositive.today, there's a link you can click on there. But you got a page on your website with a special gift for Faith Positive Nation, right?
That's right. So we're talking a lot about work. We're talking a lot about leadership, and I'm blessed to work at a university, so I can go out and do teaching and do seminars. So I wanted to give your listeners as a gift my one-day seminar, all the content in a PDF file for free.
For free?
For free.
You sure you want to do that, man?
Oh, yeah, it's free.
Okay.
Now, they can download that if they want to go to jeffmcmanusspeaking.com/FPR.
As in Faith Positive Radio. Okay, jeffmcmanusspeaking.com/FPR. And by the way, don't hurt yourself on the treadmill. It's in the episode copy. So when you're reading this, the link's right there. You just click on it and you go. And so there's a PDF, one-day seminar that you can download. That's free. And I'm assuming there's a way to order this great book too.
That's right. You just come to my website. There's a tab at the top that says book, and you click on that, and you can order that book right away.
That sounds so simple. I could do it. Growing leaders into leaders, Jeff McManus. Faith Positive Nation always wants to know from our guest, Jeff, about a favorite Bible verse.
Oh, well.
You got a favorite, man?
It's hard to pick one. Just one.
Yeah, I know. 66 books and all these verses, right?
That's right.
You got one.
But Psalms chapter 1, if I had to only pick one verse, it would be verse 3.
Okay.
But 1 through 3, it just sets it up, right? So it's all about, blessed is the man who does not walk in the way of the wicked and does not sit at the seat of the mocker. And I skipped the one part. I'm nervous. But his delight is on the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree who is planted by streams of water and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers.
I love that imagery, like a tree planted by a stream of water.
Yeah, man, that's me, brother. That's
that
us.
Is you, brother. That is you, man.
Had to give me a tree verse in there.
That's it. I'm thinking of Weeping Willow, down in your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah.
Down by that little stream of water. Man, you sure have blessed us, and you blessed me a huge amount. Thanks for being a guest on our program today. And jeffmcmanusspeaking.com is the awesome website. Growing Leaders into Leaders is a really cool book that you need to get. And notice that it's relatively thin. So those of you who say, I don't have time to read, you can read this one, right? And it's written in a style that you can access really quickly and easily as well. Jeff, thanks, man. We pray God blesses you and your team there at the University of Mississippi. Did I say it right?
Mississippi. That's right. Mississippi.
Okay.
That's right.
I'm not going to pray for a blessing on your football team, but
You'd love
Anyway.
Coach Freeze. He's a believer. Coach Freeze is awesome, man. He's a great guy.
Yeah, well, we certainly pray God's blessings on all your work. Thanks for the incredible job you do of connecting work and walk with worship.
Awesome. Well,
man, that's my big takeaway here is that the work we do every day has a noble cause. It's got a higher purpose, and all of us are called to that higher purpose through our divine design and calling by God. So, man, that's my big takeaway today, and I appreciate that. Pray God blesses you and your family, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate what you're doing. Keep it up.
All righty.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.